In this video, we're going to work with Adobe InDesign and we're going to take a look at how we can get started laying out the cover of a magazine. We come to Adobe InDesign and we want to start by laying out our page, our cover. I come to File, New, and I'm going to choose a new document. I am going to make sure that I'm going to set this for print. I'm going to work with inches. I can look up and see what the standard size of magazines are, and we'll find that there are several different sizes that we can choose for our layout. Right now, I am going to go for 8.5 by 11. I'm going to keep it paper size, and I want it to be oriented portrait. I'm going to get rid of facing pages. I'm only going to have the cover on this page. As I take a closer look, I may want to have a couple of columns. I am going to stick with 3 columns, and I'm going to keep the gutter width, the column gutter, that will be the space in between the columns. I'll keep it at 1.67, and I'll add a margin as well. I hit create, and I have my page. When we take a closer look at the columns are really only there to help you as you lay out your page. We could think that all of our layouts underneath them, that there is a grid, and the columns help us when we go to align different items. So we begin with our magazine layout, and we know that visual hierarchy is a very important design concept in everything we do, and especially for a magazine. We want to think about what is the first focus, what's the second focus, what is the third focus. I want to make the primary focus my image. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to begin by placing my image. I'm going to choose my rectangular frame tool. I want my image to run the span of the page. I'm going to run it off the edges just a little bit, and that's okay, because if it's off the edge, it won't be part of the layout, part of the design. I come to File, Place. I find my image. I have an image of an avocado. I come and find where I put it. So much of our work on the computer is also managing our files, file management. So where did we put things? And I have my image. I can see my image comes in really large. This is a high quality image, so I want to do my fitting. I come to Object, Fitting, and I am going to choose Fill Frame Proportionally. Now I chose this image, and this is going to be for a healthy magazine, because the colors around it are going to make it that the type will read. Wonderful. I come to my layers. I have my image. Now, I always like to lock the layer that has my image on it. I can give it the title, and I'm going to say image. I'm going to hit OK. Before I do that, though, I want to pull some of the colors from this image. So I'm going to come over to my eyedropper, and with the eyedropper, I have my color theme tool. I'm going to click, and I can see I have these certain colors. I'm going to add them on in. Where are they? You may be wondering. If we go to Window, Color, and we come to our swatches, we'll see Colorful Theme. There we have it. I'm going to actually add some other colors as well. I want to come back to my eyedropper one more time. This time I want to just grab the eyedropper tool, and I want to click. I want to get some of that dark part of the mango. I'm going to put it in on my swatches here, and again I can click around, figure out what color it is that I'm picking. I can come in even a little bit closer. And I like the darkness of this color. It's the dark part of the mango, and I want to add it as a new swatch. So I'm just going to click here, and I can see that color is right in my colorful themes. Maybe I want to pull out some other colors from inside of the avocado as well. And again, when you want to add that color, you just hit the new swatch at the bottom of your swatches. You can even zoom in really nice and close if you'd like to, and figure out what colors that you would like to pick. So I like this nice and light, but I think I already have that one in there. Again, going through and sampling and see what you want. and adding it to your colors. I'm going to add just one more. I may already even have that one. Now you can see that this one ended up here. If I wanted to keep it in the colorful themes, I could. And then I can know I have all of these images for my avocado. I can change the name to colorful theme is the default. I'm going to say avocado, if I'm spelling that, avocado pick. Even avocado, right? We can get the sense it's inspired from the avocado. Okay, let's get to work. So I have my colors. Again, color is a huge part of page layout, a huge part of design. I come to my layer. I'm going to lock this layer, and now I'm going to add a new layer, and I'm going to start to focus in on my type. And I have that. And again, the first thing I want to do is I want to add some font, the title of my magazine, up in this area. I'm going to begin by creating a type box. I grab my T for type, and I'm going to draw a box that's going to span the layout of this image. Now I am going to type the title of my magazine, Healthy Living. Maybe I want to use all caps. If I'd like to do that, I can as well. And I definitely now want to choose a good font, as well as I want to work with the spacing. So let's come and let's go to our type in our tables. And let's open up our character window and let's start to work with the size. Well, first of all, I want to choose a font that I think is going to work. I can come and use my filter and I can choose a sans serif font. And I can start working through and seeing which ones I think work the best. Futura. Let's go for, and I can also play around and see what would it look like with a serif. A lot of times I'll find that I want to get the sizing, and then I can start to work with this. I'm going to keep Kifa right now, and I'm going to work on making this all larger. Come on in. That changed back. I can always type it in as well. I'll go for Kifa Bold. Wonderful. I'm going to make this bigger. Let's see how large it can go. So it all fits in. We go to 60. Let's see if 72 will work. Still does work. Okay, wonderful. Now I'm going to take my box here, my type box, and I'm going to change this size, the size of the text box. And I want to actually work with the color of my font as well and the spacing between the letters. So I come to my character window and I can start to put space in between with the tracking. Wonderful. Now, again, I would say black is the strongest color for font. And for a cover too, let's try something a little bit different. So I definitely want it to be dark. I want it to have contrast. So I'm going to go and choose that dark color from the mango. Let's see what that looks like. We have Healthy Living. I zoom in, and as I take a closer look, I may want to make the tracking a little bit less, so there's a little bit more of a space. I want to keep with the margins that I've set. I'm going to use those as a guide and move it on over. Again, I can resize my text box as well. Again, really using those margins as my guide. Healthy Living. As you take a closer look, you might find, you might think, hey, I want to put a color behind this. Maybe you want to pull some of the color from the avocado. So what we would do is we would pull out a rectangle, the rectangle tool, and we would actually draw a shape. And I am going to, inside this shape, put the color of the avocado. We know when the color is above something that we can work with how it is arranged, and we would say object arrange, send backward. Okay, I do like that. I want to center this a little bit more, and maybe I even want to play around a little bit more with this color. There's so much and so many different options. One thing to always be careful of when you create a shape, it's very easy to accidentally keep a stroke on your shape. This time the stroke's the same color, so it's almost impossible to see. So to make sure that that stroke is turned off, you can come to window, and you actually have a stroke window. So you can turn on the stroke window and, turn it off. You can make it thicker. You can set it to 0. The other option is to make sure that your control panel is turned on. So when you come to window, make sure control is turned on, and you'll also see that you can turn it off right in there. The control window is pretty awesome because there's a lot of different things you can do. For instance, I have this shape selected, and I'm going to lower the opacity just a little bit. Not really wild about that. Again, you could spend a lot of time playing around and figuring out what it is that you want to do. I might even choose instead to change this color. So this color of this shape, making sure that I have the right thing selected, making it a darker purple, and I can see by accident that I have put that around the stroke, and I want to turn the stroke off. Okay, now let's take a look. I actually like this better. I like having, just more of a subtle variation with what is happening with the background and the color. And maybe, again, spent a lot of time playing around here, maybe I want to change the color of my font to be the green of the avocado. Let's see what that looks like. Again, the back color would need to be darker. So I could click on in here and play around and get a color that's going to work. Right now, it definitely needs to be a little bit darker though. Okay, I'm going to leave that as it is. Now I want to come in and start to add my other areas of type. So again, we think of this idea of visual hierarchy. Maybe as we look, we could say that the first thing we see is the avocado, and then we see healthy living. Now we want to add some information on the articles that are going to be inside this issue of healthy living. Again, I'm going to come in, I'm going to grab my type tool, and I'm going to create a text box. And I'm going to type, now featuring the best of cooking light. I want to choose my font. I come on in, and this time I want to go with a font that is a sans serif, no serif. So I'm going to choose, let's see what we have. As I take a look at this font, again, I definitely don't want it to be the black. So I'm going to open up my colors that I've pulled from my image, and I want it to be darker, that's for sure. So I want to go to Window, Color, Swatches, and I'm going to go for that dark color pulled from the avocado skin. I definitely am going to go a little bit smaller. I think 30 would be perfect. 34. Let's go for 34. Wonderful. Now featuring the best of cooking light. I could bring this down a little bit if I'd like to. I could even make a shape, put a shape of a color behind it as well. In my hierarchy, I'd say that first it's the avocado, then healthy living, and now this article. Maybe this article will be the one that is the most prominent. The next thing I'm going to do is add another piece of text. I'm going to stick with the same font. I'm going to draw my text box. And when I think about aligning things, I want this text box to end right about here. This next one I'm going to put Grab and Go Super Power Snacks. Grab and Go Super Power Snacks. This all fits perfectly here. Let's say that I decided, hey, I want this to look the exact same way as now featuring the Best of Cooking Light. This is another way that our eyedropper tool works. I can click on my eyedropper tool and I can select that, and now it is all the same. I want to use the same font, but I do want to make it smaller. So I'm going to come on in, Grab and Go Super Power Snacks. Perfect. I'm going to set that one to 30. Now, another piece that I want to do, and I want to align these. So I'm going to use this line of the column to align what it is that I have going on. There's a lot of spacing between these lines that I'm not wild about. So another thing that I can do is work with the spacing between my lines. I'm going to find that I can do that when I open up my character window one more time, which is when character. And it's always helpful too, because when you hover, you can see what it looks like. You have the leading. So take a look as I start to lower my leading, the point size. I can see that these are all coming in a little bit closer together. Grab and Go Super Power Snacks. I'm going to leave that as it is. And I continue to work. I can add my other type settings, whatever those articles may be. I can add the month that I want this to be featured. And I can absolutely work with adding blocks of color. For instance, if I wanted to now featuring the Best of Cooking Light, I could come in and even, bring this up a little bit higher, bring this up and over, space things out. There's just a lot that can be done. I'm going to just add one more shape of color and then even start to work with a line. When I come into my shapes, again, I can run it the span. Maybe I'll have it butt up against the one above. And I will choose this nice and light green. Object arrange, send backward. I'm going to have to go one more time. Object arrange, send backward. And maybe I want to work with some lines as well. So when we use our line tool, we can grab our line tool. And if I want a perfectly straight line, maybe I'll put a line underneath this. I can click, hold down Shift, and I have a straight line. Maybe I want to bring my line right up into the avocado, and maybe I want to make it a little bit thicker. And keep adding in the other areas. Grab and Go Super Power Snacks. I want to grab my next title and add that in and see what I have. I want Super Power Snacks to be on the same line. So I'm going to work with the sizing just a little bit more and see what I need to go down to have that happen. Now, by default, InDesign will hyphenate. So I'm going to actually, if you want to turn that off, it's very easy. You need to open up the paragraph window. And a lot of times you can even see it up here. But if I come to window, I always grab it from here, type and tables, and open up paragraph and click off hyphenate. And now we have Grab and Go Super Power Snacks. I'm going to resize my text box. And I'm going to move this up again, just adding a little bit of an element for visual interest. And we could say, as we work, that our designs, we're working with color, with contrast, image, type, and we can add so much more. Before I close, giving you another idea, when we look at our lines and our stroke, we have a lot of different options with our strokes as well. So we have entire stroke libraries. If we want to add them, we can. So instead, maybe we could do a line that is, dots. thick and thin. And, we can open up, we even have our stroke window. So again, with these programs with Adobe, there's often several ways to do the same thing. So we can access this as well as we look in over onto our floating window for the stroke. So the rest you can figure out on your own, and happy designing.